Morning, everybody. Ben here, and today we're going to be talking about muzzle training. Right? Why do I want to put my dog in a muzzle? Well, I don't, and I really don't want to put yours in a muzzle either. But until we can find a way to reason with our dogs and say, hey, look, there's no reason you need to feel like you need to bite somebody in this particular situation. Until we can get that point through their heads, then we have to take a safety precaution. The thing I tell people all the time is that muzzle training is not... It's as much for your dog safety as it is for everybody else's, right? Now, the reason I say it's for your dog's safety, biting is inherently dangerous. It is a very athletic feat. Dogs have to kind of rush in, grab something. Dogs can lose teeth while biting. If they're biting something that can bite back or can fight back, then they run the risk of getting hurt themselves. If you ever watch a Schutzhund or bite work training video with police dogs, they'll often have the dog on a bite sleeve and someone's behind them with a club or something just wailing on the dog. It is inherently dangerous, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, a couple things before we get started. Number one, make sure you have an appropriately sized muzzle. This is a Baskerville. Let me move it up really close to the camera. So, see. A Baskerville Ultra Muzzle. It's hard rubber, very hard rubber, right? It's fairly light. And you see how the nose goes here. He can fully open and close his jaws while he's inside this. And there's straps that go on the back of the head. Now, today we're just training into the muzzle. We're not actually buckling the muzzle on. This is going to be a step 1 of 2, possibly 3 videos. This muzzle, you can still reward your dog while he's wearing it, or she's wearing it. Your dog can drink water, eat treats, lick their chops, whatever they really need to do. The idea is not to completely compress the dog's mouth while they're in here like a mesh muzzle would, but to allow full range. Unless you're stupid enough to kind of stick your finger into this, you're not going to get bit. The best case scenario is the dog comes up and is going to hit something, but they're not going to be able to get teeth around something. Muzzle training is very important for reactive dogs. It will save your dog's life. And how it will save your dog's life is if your dog does bite somebody, you now are not just dealing with your dog biting somebody, you're now dealing with some legal repercussions as well, and that could result in your dog being euthanized for one bite. So, you know, your dog may be super friendly with people. It may have just been scared. You know, you took your dog somewhere new or something like that, right? And someone's already trying to stick his nose in here. So bear in mind, this is going to save your dog's life, and it's going to, you know, make your dog safer to be around. If you're a client watching this video and we're currently training, remember that the idea here is to normalize the muzzle the same way you do their leash and harness. Your dog should feel just as comfortable with the basket muzzle on as they should with their leash and harness on. So, what are you going to need for this? You're going to need a muzzle, obviously. This is a size 5, and it fits Kristoff pretty well. I did have to bring it in a little bit. I probably could have gone down a size, but it wouldn't have fit his muzzle just right. Okay. If you have a issue, I got mine at PetSmart. I know their return policy. The packaging was super simple. I just slid it out. You know, the box just kind of slides over it and everything. If you could take your dog to a pet store and try it on there, if not, you can buy a couple and, you know, keep the receipt. Inside there is instructions for how to fit the muzzle. The reason I say this is the first instruction is encourage your dog to place it, and then when your dog is calm at home with the muzzle, you know, then you can start taking it out, right? It is, I believe it's machine washable. Yeah, I mean, you can wash it with soap and water. So if you're going to use like peanut butter or something to train the dog into it. Now, I'm not using peanut butter, I'm using beef liver, dried beef liver. So these are the things you'll need, and then a clicker. And obviously my dog. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the camera real quick and we'll get started. Kristoff! Hey buddy, come here. Alright, so I'm going to lower the camera here a little bit so you can see what we're doing. Let me make sure I can see what I'm doing, right? Christoph, come here, bud. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the treat, I'm going to put it in the lower part of the muzzle to kind of coax him into it, right? I could use peanut butter for this, but Christoph is responding pretty well to it. So, hey. You see how easily he's going in? We did practice this a little bit before we started this video. I wanted to see what he would do, because that would have had a bearing. The reason I practiced this before I made this video is so that I need to see what his because this is his usual reinforcer. I wanted to see if his usual reinforcer would work. Right here. Now you're seeing something else here. I'm not pushing this over his nose. I'm letting him stick his nose in it. Right here. That's important, right? That's important. I need to let him stick his nose in it, not force his nose in it, right? If I force his nose in it, then we're not teaching him. I mean, you see how he's kind of shoving his face in there now, right? This is good. I want him to go, oh, well, this is fun, right? If I stick my nose in here, aha, right? So this is a good idea. And I click. Once he's put it in there, he dropped his reinforcer. He'll find it in a second. There we go. Okay. Do this one more time. Now, why am I not... I'm going to start increasing the time he's in the muzzle. Okay? Why am I not putting the straps on? Because I need to get this. This is the more important part. The straps will come next. This is the more important part. Why is this the more important part? Because if he's not comfortable with this over his face, then that's not going to be... It's not going to serve me or do any good for me, right? I need to get him comfortable with this. And he's still in there. So I'm going to click and reward again, right? I might miss a few. Now, I'm also not doing this on a leash, and I'm doing this in our Florida room, full of distractions. There's squirrels outside, which, you know, I may edit this part out. But, and now he's done. Okay. Let me adjust the camera and the screen here. Done. Okay. Why did I just let him walk away when we were done? So this is something that that I feel and I've grown increasingly have increasingly stronger feelings over time when it comes to this, right? I believe that dogs should have agency over what they are doing, right? Which means, Christoph, leave it. Good boy. Which means that, now, well, okay, let me make my point. Dogs should have agency over what they're doing. Why should they have agency over what they're doing? Because we have so much control over their lives. When do they eat? When do they sleep? When do they go outside to poop? When do they get to play, right? We have so much control over their lives that giving a lot of reactivity cases, Philip is one of them, giving him the choice of, well, do this or this. You don't have to bite. Biting doesn't have to be a choice. There's a whole other list of choices that you can make besides biting. Why do we want to give him these choices? Because it's the lack of agency that makes a creature reactive, right? If you think about why your dog gets reactive on the leash outside of the dog park, but once he gets inside the dog park, he's okay. That's because something about going into the dog park, maybe it's the stimulation of it, maybe it's this particular dog, who knows, but he's on leash. He can't go in and engage, and he can't run away and disengage. He has no agency. Now, that being said, the law states he has to be on a leash. There are people out there who are going to put a shock collar or a prong collar and say they're giving their dog agency, and they're not. Agency, to me, when it comes to dog training, is when the dog likes what they're doing, enjoys the choice that they are making. They make their choices based not on, well, if I don't do, if I do this, I'm going to get shocked. If I don't do this, I'm not going to get shocked. That's not agency. That's pain avoidance, right? That's pain avoidance. That's not agency. Agency is, well, here are my host of options. These options don't really get me anything. These options get me something. This option gets me something I really like. That's agency. So, am I taking away my dog's agency by putting him in a muzzle? Yes and no. Yes, I am taking away his ability to bite. But that's because I can't explain to, Karen walking down the street with her daughter Susie, who I said, no, you can't pet my reactive dog, and she pets my dog anyways. I can't explain to them why it's important for my dog to be able to get outside and sniff around and have, enjoy time outside if he's a bite risk. I can't explain it to those people. Those people have already kind of ignored logic or reasoning when they, and that's assuming they even ask. They may not ask. I'm getting on a rant here, but that's okay. I am taking away his agency in that aspect. I am not taking away his agency with this muzzle by letting him growl and snarl and bark and do everything in here. Right? It's just the connecting bite that can't happen. Just the connecting bite. So, yes. Should you muzzle train your dog? Absolutely, if you have a reactive dog. If the vet said, hey, we have to muzzle your dog to give him shots, congratulations, we're going to do this video, and when you go to the vet, instead of them putting on one of those cheap little nylon mesh muzzles and having to really stress your dog out by somebody having to pretty much drop their body weight on him and hold him down while they shove a muzzle on, or doing the finger toss into the room to hopefully the owner can get it on, and the owner's going to make sure it's tight enough and everything the dog can't scrape it off. You're going to train your dog to like this, and you're going to go into your vet's office with this on, and you're going to tell your vet, hey, look, he's already muzzled, do your thing, right? This gives your dog an agency. You don't need a prong collar, you don't need a shot collar. If you don't like calling it a muzzle, you can call it what we used to call it when I was working as a vet assistant. We call it a happy hat. This gives your dog a sense of agency, right? You could even do a dental exam here, because you could get your fingers up into your dog's mouth and the vet can look, where the vet can be very careful and get their fingers in, but not all the way in so they get bit, This is a very useful tool to have in your pocket. Alright guys, step 2 of the video, which will be in a couple of days, will be buckling the harness on. And then step 3, I don't know if I'll because Christoph doesn't need it. We can do anything to him. But we may try this with Philip a little bit. Little dogs may need this just as much as big dogs. And then we'll go from there. Alright guys, thanks for watching today. Have a good one.